Welcome to the Kratom Gals. This is an independent opinion-based panel where everyday Kratom consumers come here to react to headlines, hearings, and media coverage about the plant. So much media coverage going on right now. We're not insiders, we're not lobbyists, we're Kratom consumers who believe that everyday people deserve a voice in this conversation. Each week we come together to look at what's being said about Kratom, who's saying it, and whether it lines up with publicly available facts. What you always get is honest reaction and lived experience. I'm Madeline Sklar. I'm the host of this live stream series, as well as the Kratom Stories podcast and the Kratom Real Talk community. If you've not joined us at Kratom Real Talk, go check it out. It's over on the school platform. It's really awesome. We have a very active forum with lots of conversations. It's way better than a Facebook group. Plus, there's a classroom section with lots of educational information. There's something for everyone, whether you're new, researching, or you've been a Kratom consumer for years. I've been consuming Kratom every day, and it's going to be 7 years in less than 2 weeks. My 7-year anniversary is on March 30th. I've used this every day for my chronic pain. I've had no issues, no adverse reactions. I definitely feel healthier and better than when I was in pain management for 9 years, taking pharmaceuticals every day for 9 years. It has really drastically improved the quality of my life. Now, on a side note, I want to thank Christopher Organic Botanicals for powering my day today with their awesome green Vietnam. That is like my absolute favorite. Definitely top tier. And thank you to Christopher for broadcasting this over onto X. We're on YouTube and X right now. If you find these conversations we have here valuable and all this work that we're doing, putting a spotlight on Kratom education and advocacy, one of the best ways you can help support this is by hitting the like and subscribe button over on our YouTube channel. That helps us reach more people. You can also make a one-time or a monthly contribution. You can go to kratomstoriespodcast.com/support. This podcast and the community around it are completely independent. This kind of work continues only when people in our community decide it's worth supporting. We don't have lobbyists paying for us to talk about this or any of these companies paying us to advertise them. That's not how we operate. We're here for you all because, like you, we're all everyday Kratom consumers. But it takes a lot of work, a lot of time and money to do all this. But we're all very passionate about it, and we're here for it. We love doing this, getting together on our own time each week. Now, a quick note before we begin: this live stream is for educational purposes. We're not medical professionals, and we're not giving out medical advice here. We're sharing our personal experience and advocating for responsible legal access to Kratom. All the views here that are expressed today are our own. So when we go around and each of us talk, each person, that's their own view and opinion. So please keep that in mind. All right, let's bring up today's gals that are with us. Hello, gals. How are y'all doing today? Good to see y'all.
It's good to see everybody. How are all you doing?
And great having you back, Venus. We've missed you.
We missed you.
Oh, yes, it's great to be back. I missed you guys so much. And just the group and doing stuff together. And I just really missed it. In case anybody didn't know, I just had a house fire. We're all okay. Cats are okay. Dogs are okay. We still have a roof. We have one place to stay. Just been really busy. But I've missed, with the internet stuff going on, I haven't been able to get on school or anything else. So I've really missed the groups. But I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, well, we're happy to have you. We're happy you and your family are okay, and your pets, your cats and your dogs. I mean, I can't even imagine what you have been going through. So,
what the heck?
We're glad you're back.
Yeah.
Twinkle, you're here. You're good, Twinkle. I think we lost Robin, but I'm sure she'll be back. So, yeah, if everybody can take a moment for those on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe. It really does help, so more people will, see us in the feed, because that's how these social media platforms work. Getting us more visible in the feed, and just something as what seems minor, hitting that like button and subscribing so you don't miss anything. It really helps. We're going to dive in. It's been a busy week since we were here last. Lots going on. There's so much to discuss. So, yeah, we're going to dive right into some videos. One of the things we've talked about so much on this show over the past 2 years is that there's been, I think Twinkle's having some issues. Give me 1 second to fix this. Okay, there we go. All right, Twinkle, you're back. One of the things that has come up in conversation a lot in the past 2 years is that at the 2024 Kratom Symposium, that was 2 years ago. They just had the 2026, but 2 years ago, there was a Kratom Symposium. And we found out that the FDA did a presentation there. This was talked about a lot since then. I don't remember for sure, but I am pretty sure the first time I heard it was on a podcast with Etha Botanicals. They do a weekly podcast, and they were there. And I'm pretty sure that's where I first heard it. I'm pretty sure they were the ones that were talking about it and mentioning how, the FDA was collaborating on this and that it was a single dose, an ascending single dose study. Now, we've heard a lot about it since then. We've heard about it from others. But, these things don't carry as much weight until it's peer reviewed. And we've been waiting a long time for this. Plus, if the FDA collaborated, I would hope the FDA would update their website, right? Because when you go to their Kratom webpage on the FDA's website,
exactly,
it's not Kratom friendly, but they collaborated on this study. So I'm going to play a short video I made. I've been waiting a long time to make this video. So let's watch this and discuss it. I have big news for the Kratom community. For 2 years, we've been hearing about an important Kratom study and patiently waiting for it to be peer-reviewed and officially released. And now is finally here. Hey everyone, I'm Madeline Sklar. I'm a Kratom educator and advocate, and I host the Kratom Stories podcast and the Kratom Gals live stream. Today, I'm breaking down what might be the most significant piece of Kratom research we've seen in years. This is a study a lot of us have been talking about, and it's finally been peer-reviewed and published in the Journal of Clinical Psychopharmacology. You might remember this was first discussed at the 2024 Kratom Symposium. At the time, we heard from the FDA that researchers had done a single-dose study in humans with different Kratom doses, but we didn't have the full paper yet. Now we do. This was a single ascending dose clinical trial, meaning participants received increasing amounts of Kratom from 1 gram all the way up to 12 grams. Researchers monitor safety, effects, and blood levels of Kratom's alkaloids. According to the study, there were no serious adverse events reported. The most common side effects were nausea, vomiting, and sleepiness. Now, it's important to understand what this research actually shows and what it doesn't. It doesn't answer questions about long-term use or repeated dosing. But what it does give us is something we've needed for a long time: controlled human clinical data on Kratom with FDA involvement. For years, the conversation around Kratom has been dominated by case reports, poison center data, and assumptions, not controlled science. That's starting to change. Another important point is that this dose-finding study helped pave the way for a human abuse potential study, which is now underway at Baylor College of Medicine. That's a standard step in understanding how a substance behaves and brings Kratom one step closer to being formally evaluated on its own terms. So why does this matter so much? Here's the thing. Until a study is peer-reviewed and published, it doesn't really count. It can't be cited, it can't influence policy, and it can't change minds. This one can. For those of us who follow Kratom closely, this has been a long time coming. We've known about these findings for 2 years, and now we finally have the full peer-reviewed paper. You can read the study by going to my Linktree link in the bio. This is a really important step forward for evidence-based research on natural Kratom. Personally, I cannot wait to see what comes next. Let me know what you think in the comments and help spread the word. Share this video with people you know. Oh, that's so exciting.
Nice.
That is amazing. So peer review means that other people are reviewing it and are they reviewing it or are they doing tests too? Or are they just looking it over?
my understanding, and I may not 100% get it right, and but from my understanding and my research, you have these studies done. Now this was like a study with scientists, researchers and scientists. We got a lot of background noise coming from somebody. Can y'all mute when you're not talking? Not sure. Okay. They do this study, they do all this, and they collect all this data, but then it needs to be peer reviewed. It needs to be reviewed by peers. It needs to be reviewed by others in the community to validate the information. Because anybody could go do a study, right? And say, well, until you have others who were not associated with it review it, how does it carry real weight? What if it was funded, by said industry? And that's not an uncommon thing, but that's exactly why you need others involved, other scientists and researchers to validate the information. And that's what we've been waiting on for a very long time. We already knew about what was entailed in this study, that there were no serious adverse events. No one, keeled over and died. They did, doses going all the way up to 12 grams. I mean, could you imagine 12 grams of capsules in a 5-minute period? That would make me sick. But the worst that happened was some nausea, a little bit of vomiting, and a little bit of sleepiness. Here's what's interesting. Because if you go to my Linktree link, you go to my Linktree. It's in the bio here on my YouTube channel, but it is let me see, it's linktree.com/ what is it? I think it's Kratom with an A. I should have pulled this up before I got started, but if you go, let me just grab this link real quick because I have it there. Yeah, it's Linktree, LINKTREE. You know what? Let me just put it in the thing here so y'all can have this if anybody's trying to go pull this up, because this will make it a lot easier for you to go check it out. But I have it linked in there. And there's also, let me just pop this on the screen real quick. You can go to Linktree or just linktr.ee/Kratom with an A, Kratom Stories. But also if you just type in linktree.com/KR8TOM Stories, it'll take you there as well. And I have it right at the top. Click on that and it'll take you to the study. This peer review study was published. It was just published this week over at the Journal of Clinical Psychopharmacology. So let me pull that page up. This is official of this study that we've been hearing about for a long time, that we've been waiting on. Mm-hmm. So that's it. That's the official, and you can see all the people involved, and it includes Dr. McCurdy is listed on here. You got a lot of people in the industry, and gives you the background, the methods, results, and conclusion. But there's also the full PDF that I've also have access to that goes into great details with the data. And it's really, really interesting because when I really dove into it and did more research on that, the findings were quite interesting because they had placebo group. Yeah, groups, multiple groups. It was a total of, I think it was 116. Let me see, 116 participants. It was placebo-controlled, double-blind. So you had a whole group of placebo people. They didn't get Kratom, but they were told they were, right? And the placebo effect is real because when you look at the PDF of the results, a large percentage of placebo participants reported the exact same side effects as those taking the highest 12 grams of Kratom. So it's interesting. Some of them had nausea. It's like, but you just took capsules that didn't have anything real in them.
Right. I'm wondering if the capsules themselves make them nauseous too.
It could. But here's another funny one, y'all. Because on the PDF, it has like a breakdown of all the things. One of them is euphoric mood.
Wow.
One
Power of
person, one
suggestion.
person in the
Mm.
placebo put down, they had a euphoric mood. And it's like, and of the highest dose, one person, there's four dose levels, the the low, and then it was ascending, so each one was higher and higher. So we know that highest one was 12 milligrams. So one person out of all the others, and one person the placebo, and at the next one down from the highest, one person. The lowest, 0. But it has all these different, and let me tell you another one, psychiatric events. So how many people do you think in the placebo had a psychiatric event? Anybody want to guess?
3.
1. I'm just reading the results. Increased energy. So this one's interesting. 0 across the board except the placebo. 2 people said increased energy.
That's really interesting.
And this is exactly why we need these kinds of tests to look at all of these different details. And it wasn't like a huge group, but my understanding, this has been the largest of its kind. We haven't had something done with real people this big. And so, I think this is great that it's finally been peer reviewed, and that most people, the outcome was mild, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that can be shown that is concrete to these representatives at the hearings.
Right. This
I mean, the
information-
only adverse events was the placebo, and it wasn't.
Well,
You know what I mean? I mean,
yeah, the placebo and the highest. I mean, it's interesting how with the highest dose and placebo, a lot of it was the same, or there were times where only the placebo. So that's what makes this interesting. Now, here's another point to consider. This was what they called a clean product study. So this was only done with standardized kratom, and it came from Super Speciosa, one of my favorite brands. And it was their kratom capsules that were used, and they're part of the kratom companies that I support. I love kratom companies that educate and advocate, and I wish more of them did that. But the ones that I have on my website, they all do that. They're big with education, they're big with advocacy, and those are the only brands that I support and purchase from. And yeah, if anybody ever has questions on that, let me know. But I did find this to be such an interesting when you dive into all the data. But also something interesting was that it did include a 15 consecutive day of doses. One group, got this 15 days. So, not all of it was just one time. Some of it was consecutive, and
that's a pretty good study.
There was no respiratory depression, no cardiac issues, no withdrawal signals, no abuse signals coming from this. When regulators are evaluating substances, that's what they're looking for, are these things. And there wasn't any of that. There were no red flags. And like I said in the video, this study led the way for a study that's going on right now on abuse, an abuse potential study. And it's at Baylor College of Medicine. That's in my town where I live. And that's a big deal. That's a big deal study they're doing right now. The thing is, it takes years before we're going to get the results.
Yeah.
That's the thing. This is a long game. But
these are studies that should have been taking place all along.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly. So it's exciting news. And, I think now we're at a place where the policymakers, the media, is like these talking points they repeat day in and day out when it comes to natural kratom. It's like they need this study right in front of them. Somebody needs to put this study right in front of all of them and remind them that this is a study in collaboration with the FDA. As a matter of fact, let me show you, because I had initially when I came across that this had been out, it was because Dr. McCurdy had posted, it was wild. The other night, his I went on LinkedIn, and his post popped right up in my feed. And I was reading this going, oh my God, the day has come, finally. So let me show you this tweet, because this is incredibly exciting. And for those that are on a small screen right now, I'll read this for you. So what Dr. McCarty put on his LinkedIn, this is a screenshot of it. Excited to share the results of the single ascending dose human clinical trial of encapsulated kratom leaf powder. We're getting a lot of background sound from somebody, by the way. Although this is a single dose trial and limited in extrapolation to chronic use, it is an important step in getting to that place. This was conducted at Alta Science under a collaborative agreement with the US FDA and support from the University of Florida Translational Drug Development Corps. This data was finalized almost 2 years ago, and getting it all into published form was a massive lift by FDA scientists. So FDA scientists were involved with getting this published. This is a start to helping understand the levels of kratom leaf powder that we can well tolerate safe, and what levels can become harmful or lead to adverse events. The trial currently underway is going to examine the human abuse potential and is being conducted at Baylor College of Medicine under a cooperative agreement with the US FDA and the University of Florida. So much more to come. I mean, that's mic drop right there. I mean,
So exciting.
It certainly is.
now will the FDA update their website, their kratom page? I hope the lobbyists are on top of this and like
I hope so.
trying to make, like, because I don't know how we could influence the FDA, but
Emails and letters, phone
yeah,
calls.
maybe we should start some kind of media campaign to the FDA. I mean, this
We've done it before.
we've been waiting for this moment for a long time, and I'd like to know where is this going, and what can we do to get involved with our loud voices, because it's time for the FDA to do something with that website of theirs, because so much misinformation and propaganda comes from the fact that people go to that kratom page at the FDA with outdated info. Yeah.
Have you seen the new website that Dan?
Yeah, I'm going to do that next.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
Yep.
I was going to say those two things together would be dynamite.
That's exactly why I'm doing this first, and then we're going into that next. But for some reason, I can't pull it up on my browser. I've been trying to pull it up ever since we went live, and I keep having issues off and on with it showing up. But this is great news. We've needed this to happen for a long time. So for those that are loud advocates like us, this has just been incredible news. Absolutely incredible to find out about. And yeah, we're transitioning over to a new website. I just can't get it to pull up on my browser at the moment, and I don't know why. But we're excited to share a new website that was just launched yesterday by Dan and Sarah Pita. Is anybody able to open it? I cannot get this to come up.
I know I can't open it.
Let me try to get. So it's a new website.
I lose my connection.
I know y'all are on your phones. There's a new website called kratomindex.com. I'm just having a hard time pulling it up because I wanted to show it on my screen here. I'll put it in the ticker here, but yeah, this is a cool new website. I just can't get it to come up, and I ran into this a few times last night, and I don't know why. But anyway, it is a new website that has all the various published kratom research. Sometimes we watch videos where people say there's no kratom research or there's very little kratom research. Go to this website. There is so much research that have been published about kratom. And all you need to do is go to the site, and you'll see it there. Let me catch up on these comments real quick. Extreme says, quite frankly, I'm concerned when the U.S. Congress is now pressuring the FDA to something, to what? DIA schedule? Oh, yeah, because they want to, all of a sudden, they want to schedule all kratom now. What's that about? Hey, Lois, good to see you.
That
y'all
was
heard
that
about
letter signed by
like there's
a
some
few state senators.
yeah, a couple of senators that all of a sudden on both sides of the aisle that all of a sudden are sent out a letter that like let's just ban it all. I mean, that's
What's really frustrating me is my senator, Steve Daines, signed that letter. The man is not even seeking re-election.
Oh, wow. That's
How
terrible.
dare you?
Terrible.
So, yeah, there will be a lot of phone calls made by me on Monday.
Okay, good. Here's the website, and I'm going to play Dan's video, but this website is so awesome. They just launched this. Look at this at the top. 1,156 papers are indexed here under 8 categories, and you can get an AI summary on each one of these. So one place, one-stop shop where you want to go pull up all these different studies. You got all these categories here. You can do it by years. Here's study types, countries, sources. Is going through all these sources. It's the power of AI. AI is amazing. I mean, that to be able to easily put together something like this so that we can all easily have access. So when you're talking to legislators, point them to this website, point them to a specific paper. Definitely point them to the new FDA collaborated paper at the journal. Just jot this down, Journal of Psychopharmacology. That's where that new peer-reviewed paper on the that ascending single dose study. So important.
And I would bet it'll be on Dan's website within the day.
Well, he has a video. I'm going to play his video. He just put out a video about this. I just want to make sure everybody's aware of this new site because I love that they did this. This is so important for our community. So let me play his video so everybody's aware of what this is.
We're not targeting the kratom leaf or ground up kratom. That is what HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said on July 29th, 2025. Secretary Kennedy, I hope you're listening because the states weren't. On July 29th, you stood at a podium with the FDA commissioner and you said something that millions of Americans had been waiting years to hear. You said, we're not targeting the kratom leaf or ground up kratom. The commissioner said, we're going after the killer first, which is the synthetic concentrated kratom. For the first time, the federal government publicly acknowledged what the kratom community has been saying for years. Natural kratom leaf and concentrated 7-OH products are not the same thing. They have different potencies, different risk profiles, and they deserve different regulatory approaches. Both deserve regulation, but they don't deserve the same regulation, and they don't deserve to be lumped in together and banned as if they're identical. You drew that line, and we were grateful, but that line is being erased. Since your announcement, Louisiana banned all kratom, natural leaf included, effective August 1st, 2025, possession carries up to 6 months in jail. Distribution carries up to 5 years. An estimated 325,000 people lost legal access overnight. Connecticut classified all kratom as Schedule 1 on February 25th, 2026. More than 250,000 residents that relied on kratom, many of them to stay off opioids, are now criminals for possessing a leaf. California's Department of Public Health has seized more than $5 million worth of kratom products. Not just 7-OH, all kratom from retail shelves statewide. Governor Newsom announced 95% enforcement compliance on March 3rd. California has almost 40 million people. And right now, there are active bills to ban all kratom in Iowa, Tennessee, Georgia, Kansas, Wyoming, West Virginia, Massachusetts, and Illinois. Not to distinguish between products, not to create smarter regulations, to ban everything, the same leaf you said you weren't targeting. What's happening in Tennessee shows exactly how this goes wrong. Bill, called Matthew Davenport's Law, just advanced 8-0 out of subcommittee. Matthew is 27. He died from an interaction between kratom and his prescribed medications. His mother, Karen, is leading the push for a statewide ban. Her grief is real. Her loss is unimaginable. But nobody's asking the question that matters. What product did her son actually take? Natural leaf or a concentrated product? Because those are two fundamentally different things, and the bills being written in his name ban both without distinction. The confusion between concentrated products and natural leaf is what's driving bad policy in state after state, and the people paying the price are millions of natural kratom consumers who have never touched a concentrated product in their lives. When you ban all kratom, the people who depend on it have two options. They go back to the street, back to opioids, fentanyl, heroin, the substances that kill hundreds of thousands, or they go to the pharmaceutical system. Drugs like Suboxone and Sublocade, which can cause tissue death at the injection site, respiratory depression, hepatitis, and carries a warning for serious harm or death if administered intravenously. Street drugs or pharmaceuticals, that's it, unless we protect the third option. Natural kratom leaf is the third option for millions of Americans, the bridge, the thing they use instead of going back to pills or needles, the thing that lets them manage discomfort, hold down a job, and show up for their families. We believe both natural leaf and 7-OH products should be regulated. Stricter regulations for concentrated products, tighter age restrictions, no candy-style packaging, real labeling, no gas station sales. Consumer protection laws for natural leaf, the way 17 states have already done, covering 128 million Americans. Regulation, not prohibition, for either one. And here's what should concern everyone on every side of this argument. 7-OH regulations tighten. The people using those products are going to need somewhere to go.
I just realized I'm playing the wrong video. This is his other video. I'm sorry. I think I have it on a different computer. I apologize. He has one.
That's okay. That's still a great video to watch
It's still
again.
a great video.
It is, but it's long.
Apologize.
It is, but it's long. And I really want to, for right now, focus on the, sorry. I thought that was the one I had in the, that I had saved, and it was a different one. But yeah, because that one's really long, is good. And definitely you want to go to Midrespect's TikTok. They've been putting up phenomenal videos on education and advocacy, which we're all here all about. But this is the one I meant to play. Sorry, but I was wondering, like, why is it so long? It's like, oh, it's the wrong one.
If you use Kratom or follow the Kratom space, you're going to want to bookmark this. I just launched a website called kratomindex.com, and here's what it does. Every single published peer-reviewed study on Kratom, over 1,000 papers, all in one place. Searchable, filterable by category, by year, by study type, and it updates automatically. Because here's the thing, there's actually a lot of published science on Kratom. Studies on pain management, opioid withdrawal, safety data, pharmacology, but it's scattered all over PubMed, and nobody can find it. Researchers, advocates, doctors, legislators, nobody has a clean way to access the full picture. So now they do. Kratom Index pulls from PubMed automatically. It's got FDA and WHO regulatory documents, wrongful death case data, adverse event reports, and there's an AI summary button on every paper, so you can get the plain English version without needing a PhD to understand it. It's completely free. No login, no ads, just the science, organized and searchable, because in the fight to keep Kratom legal and accessible, knowledge isn't just power, it's priceless. And this information shouldn't be locked behind databases that only scientists know how to search. If you know a researcher, an advocate, or a doctor, or a legislator who follows Kratom, send this to them. The next time someone tells you there's no science on Kratom, hand them this link and watch their face. kratomindex.com.
I love that video.
Wow.
I love that they
Yes.
did this.
Amazing.
This is so important.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great website. Definitely just go bookmark this or write it down, kratomindex.com.
I added it to my home screen on my phone.
Yeah.
Quick reference.
I'm so glad that they put that together. Because it is hard to go find, like, yeah, you go to PubMed. There's a lot of different sources. It's knowing where to go. And then once you get those reports, you can't decipher them. So I have to take the report, go put it into ChatGPT and have it decipher it. So making an all-in-one site is amazing. So add that for advocates, add that to your arsenal, share that out when you're advocating, because that is really helpful, really helpful. So, yeah. And yeah, I saw Extreme we're going to do Michigan next. Michigan, woof. Michigan's a problem. Extreme says, I'm furious with Michigan. They passed the ban in the House with no testimony. To me, that's just wrong that they were able to do that. 5 months ago, Rep. Cavett was on board with KCPA. Melody and her husband were at the hearing. And now all this hypocrisy. Well, I'm going to play a short news story on Michigan. And then later, we are going to watch the press conference that Speaker Matt Hall did right after they, pushed it through with nobody being allowed to testify. It was really hard to watch the way they just smirked right through that and acknowledge that there are pain people like us, chronic pain people that use this plant. They don't care. People don't care. They don't care. They'd rather, honestly, my personal opinion, they don't care to the point that they
They'd
would
rather kill
rather,
us.
exactly. They would rather us go to the suffer, go to the streets, or go back to your doctor and get your pain meds. Damn it! It's like F
Yeah,
you,
right.
people. F you. Oh, Venus. That's some feedback. Let me play this short one just so you can get an idea, a preview of what we're going to be watching later.
New tonight, it is known as gas station heroin. The bill to ban it in Michigan passed in the Michigan House today. Kratom is a natural plant found in Southeast Asia. However, synthetic knockoffs are created from a concentrated part of the plant, which turns it into a strong opioid. It's sold in smoke and vape shops, convenience stores, and gas stations. The bill bans all sales of natural as well as synthetic kratom. Violators could spend up to 90 days in jail and a fine of up to $5,000.
This is very similar to heroin and a lot of other opioids. And so just being able to get this on the counter over at the liquor store is a very bad thing. And that's why we want to ban it, because we want to protect not just kids, but all kinds of people.
The bill passed with no support from Democrats. It now moves on to the state Senate. 6 other states have banned kratom.
Wow.
First up, we don't need protection.
We don't.
We are
don't.
adults.
And this continued
that's
use of
right.
gas station heroin, they just had to open that story with gas station heroin. We're all getting sick of that.
And they're just going to start the next story or the next ones that come out. What are they going to call that? The new fentanyl. The new, they have to put these powerful words on it to scare everyone.
Well, and speaking of fentanyl, how come that gets no attention in the news and that xylazine and all this stuff that's out there harming people? Do people just think that all that went away and nobody's dying from that every day? That nobody's dying from street drugs, nobody's dying from fentanyl and xylazine? Wake up.
And half of those street drugs are still basically research chemicals because of their composition. So guess what? Half of them don't even come up in the test procedure.
Yeah. Kareem says, AKA email alert says, Illinois KCPA. I see it's in cannabis subcommittee, but don't see a hearing date scheduled yet. Yeah, poor Illinois, always under attack. All right, so we're gonna watch a big chunk of that Michigan press. You saw a little clip of it. Y'all just wait till have any of y'all seen the whole thing? Because it's
Unfortunately, yes.
very disappointing to watch, and the way they acted on stage. And the dude, I'm not going to play this stupid part where somebody decides, let's ask him about some award that we don't think he really won, and how he boasts about how he really won some award right in the middle of this thing. And he went on and on about it for 3 minutes. I'm like, are you kidding me, dude? You're in the middle of this with your banned kratom sign on your podium, and it's like you're trying to defend the fact that you won some award that's separate from all this, some award, and made this big deal because you think the press doesn't believe you.
Wow.
These politicians are something else. They are something else. All right. Next one up, we're gonna watch a series of news stories just to make sure everybody's caught up. Don't have time to do all of them, but just the latest of things happening around the country. This next one is Iowa.
A substance widely available for purchase across our state could be banned under a bill that passed the Iowa House today. House File 2133 would make it an aggravated misdemeanor for first-time kratom possession and a Class C felony for any subsequent possessions. KCCI's Abigail Curtin breaks down the impacts kratom is having in our state right now.
Carol Horton started selling kratom about a decade ago. It started with members of the VA looking for a non-opiate solution to chronic pain.
They were tired of being on opioids. They said, I'm tired of sitting in my chair and drooling all day and sleeping. I have so much life left and I want to be able to function and do things.
Since then, her smoke shop, Uncle Ruckus's, has been a go-to spot for those looking to buy it. And she's not the only one. Dozens of gas stations and smoke shops sell the substance, which originates from Southeast Asian tropical evergreen tree leaves. In small doses, it can act as a stimulant. In larger doses, it acts like a sedative or pain reliever. But as its accessibility has increased, UCS Healthcare Medical Director Dr. Frank Filippelli says its risk of abuse has too.
I saw my first case probably about 10 years ago. I'm seeing it probably once or twice a week now.
He specializes in treating opioid use disorder. And while technically not an opioid, kratom binds to the same receptors in the brain as opioids, especially synthetic and concentrated products like 7-OH kratom, which is legal to buy and use in Iowa.
Basically, they find themselves in a situation where they can't stop because just like opioids, it has withdrawal symptoms. And the withdrawal symptoms are what drives people to continue to come back and continue to use.
This risk for addiction is why some lawmakers are pushing to essentially ban the substance in all forms.
Classifying kratom as a scheduled drug is not just a precaution, it's a necessary action to safeguard the health and safety of all Iowans.
But opponents say by classing it as a Schedule I substance, it removes any possibility of study or regulation, thus creating a greater risk. They say the better option is regulating what types of kratom are available.
It forces purity in the products. It forces testing in the products. It forces people who have grown to depend on it to understand that they can count on it being a pure product and not something tainted with something that's going to kill them.
The bill heads to the Iowa Senate for consideration before heading to the governor's desk. Regardless of the outcome, Holton says those potent strains like 7-OH are the reason she doesn't plan to replenish her supply.
If it stays and it's doing good, we love it. But if not, we just don't want to be a part of it.
In Des Moines, Abigail Curtin, KCCI 8 News, Iowa.
What are your thoughts on that? Any thoughts?
In other words, that woman's not going to bother fighting for it.
Yeah. Exactly.
The information they have is just so bad and so wrong.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating.
And the fear that they're making everybody afraid of it all. It's just not right.
All right.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, especially when these news media outlets are just the way they demonize it all and scaring the public. So, since I accidentally put up Mac's comment for a second, I wasn't intentionally trying to do that. It's just sometimes when they come through so fast, it happens. But, to say that we passively support 7-OH is wrong, and we're not here to debate you, Mac. Honestly, my personal opinion, with everything going on in the kratom world right now, you got lots on your plate. So I think, you're welcome to stay, but we are not going to debate you. And as a matter of fact, your top advocates that are live streaming while we live streaming is a bad look. So, just throwing that out there. Anyway, we will march on because there is just so much happening. And yeah, Iowa.
And gas station
Light is definitely
heroin
on.
phrase has been around so long. It was there for tianeptine. It was there for spice. It was there for all kinds of things before. And it was certainly there for kratom for some time. So it's always in the media going to be the next craze of phrasing for a product. So it's not,
Because the news reporters, I won't even classify them as journalists anymore. The news reporters don't care to get the facts straight.
No,
they don't care to get the truth out there. They want the headlines. They want the click.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sad that, with the internet and it's all about clicks and views. Same thing with the videos. I mean, there's just some of the videos out there, they're pretty outrageous because they're just trying. And what's interesting? Whenever somebody goes viral, like it's happened quite a few times with the feel freeze, right? Somebody goes viral and they get millions of views. And we've seen this multiple times, and everybody goes and copies it because they want to go viral too. And they're like, oh, this person went viral. And if their account is monetized, whether it's TikTok, YouTube, wherever they're doing the video, they make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so
Like on TikTok.
it's a money maker. You know, people they grow up now and they want to be content creators. They want to be influencers because some people make money and it's not easy to make money doing that. I know, I've been in the industry for 30 years. I know how it operates. It's just because you get your account monetized, if you don't go viral and get millions of views on things, you're not making any real money. So anyway, our next one is out of Idaho. So that's been a big one this week. I got a news story that's quite interesting. It's a longer one, but it's important. So let's watch this one next.
Bill that could ban kratom in Idaho is sparking strong reaction from both supporters and opponents. Health and Welfare reports the plant-based substance has contributed to more than 80 deaths in Idaho since 2020. And as Abby Wilt reports, it's sold at gas stations without people knowing what's in it or the impacts.
I've been a kratom consumer for 20 years.
Some call it life-changing.
Natural kratom is a miracle in so many people's lives.
Others call it deadly.
It stimulates the mu opioid receptors similar to heroin, fentanyl, morphine, methadone, oxycodone, hydrocodone, and buprenorphine.
Idaho lawmakers are debating House Bill 864, which would ban kratom, a plant-based substance used for pain, anxiety, and opioid dependency. In Idaho, you can buy it at many vape shops, tobacco stores, and gas stations in various forms like powder, shots, and pills.
Kratom has been sold in Idaho for over 2 decades, and there's an estimated 24 million kratom users in the United States.
Sponsors of the bill are pushing for the plant-based substance to be a Schedule I drug, which means it would be illegal in the state. This comes after 83 Idahoans died from kratom-related overdoses between 2020 to 2024. That's according to the Department of Health and Welfare.
Kratom is banned in Washington, D.C. and seven other states. Kansas will soon become the 8th.
The Bonneville County Sheriff and Bonneville County Coroner testified Wednesday in front of the House Health and Welfare Committee, both pushing for a ban after the county has had 6 kratom-related deaths in the last 18 months.
Here in our county, the youngest death that we have seen so far was only 19 years old. The oldest death that we've seen with a contributing factor of kratom was 42.
The sheriff says he's especially worried about the next generation getting their hands on kratom.
We're seeing this stuff sold within walking distance of our high schools. It is not regulated.
But more than half of Wednesday's testifiers say kratom should be regulated, not banned.
If you ban kratom, it doesn't go away. It goes to the black market.
The answer isn't prohibition, it's responsible regulation.
Laura Romney spoke to committee.
I've been taking kratom daily for 9 years.
And takes kratom powder to cope with severe facial nerve condition.
This morning I woke up at about an 8 level. And with the help of kratom, I'm able to pull that down to a livable level and to be able to function and actually be here with you today. And for me to know that literally within a month or something, I could be a criminal for drinking this in the state and go to jail for just trying to control my pain.
Mitragynine and the more potent 7-hydromitragynine, also known as 7-OH, are 2 main alkaloids in kratom. Romney says products made from 7-OH can be dangerous, not the natural powder she takes. But studies show kratom powder can also be highly addictive.
If you take away pain medicine, you take away, other options that are alternatives like kratom, people will look for other substances because you just cannot live at that kind of level of pain. It's terrifying.
As lawmakers listen to debate,
but that would be my preference.
They ultimately decided the bill needed more discussion than they had time for. So testimony will resume again tomorrow.
And states like Utah have passed the Kratom Consumer Protection Act, which makes it illegal for anyone under the age of 18 to buy the substance and puts warning labels on the product to communicate its potential side effects. So Idaho could possibly do something like that, although that's not written in this bill.
I mean, so many people were in that room today. Most of those people were in favor of kratom, didn't want it to pass. That's right.
Exactly. Yeah, there were 35 people that were signed up to testify. We weren't able to get through all of them today, which is why we're going back again tomorrow. But yeah, the majority really were in favor of keeping kratom, saying things like we heard that, it helps their pain and it helps symptoms that they've had. But there's definitely some serious concerns that people were bringing up too. So it'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that plays out as well. Also, while we're on this note,
Morgan Romero did a 7 Investigates, an entire piece on Kratom, so you can always watch that and the impacts that are happening on KTV Plus. Abby, thank you.
Okay. Any thoughts on that one?
At least they mentioned the people that were there that are helped by Kratom, and
Yeah.
said, you know, that they would like to go back and review that. So that's good. It's at least a touch to it.
Exactly.
I'm glad that they are giving people a chance to speak, unlike
Right.
Michigan.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But again, so much of the information, even that she reported, is so wrong. And that's where we
Yeah.
have to educate people.
Yeah. Agreed.
I'll keep screaming that from the rooftops. We have
Yeah.
to do better at educating.
Yeah. This next one is Tennessee. I mean, there's just one after the other from this week.
Tonight, we're continuing to follow a Tennessee bill that completely bans the drug Kratom in the state. And that bill has now passed through the House Criminal Justice Subcommittee.
The House Joint Resolution for the bill passed last year as lawmakers found easy accessibility of Kratom to be a major statewide issue. Now concerns about the ability to treat Kratom overdoses are at the front of this conversation.
I spoke with one mother from our area whose son's story inspired the bill. To learn more about why lawmakers are pushing the ban, we're also hearing why some specialists working in overdose prevention say certain treatments for overdoses aren't as effective when dealing with the drug.
And that was something that he had purchased at a convenience store or a vape shop or online. You can get it all kinds of places, but it's called Kratom.
Matthew Davenport was 27 years old when he took the drug. It interacted with his medication and he died.
It's going to be a public health crisis if we don't do something about it.
His mother's advocacy against the substance started with a letter to her state rep, Esther Helton Haynes.
Ayes prevail. House Bill 1649 moves on to full judiciary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And now Matthew Davenport's law is moving through the state legislature.
In small amounts, it acts as a stimulant, and large amounts as an analgesic or a sedative. The tragic consequences of the unregulated sale of this substance are demonstrated by the untimely death of Matthew Davenport.
That's as investigators with the TBI warn about the dangers of a Kratom overdose.
That Kratom overdose may be less responsive to naloxone, complicating emergency response.
Saying administering Narcan won't cut it.
Kratom does bind to our opioid receptor, okay, just like an opioid does. But it also binds to other receptors. So when someone does overdose on Kratom, it's not going to completely reverse that overdose because it's only taken care of that part that's on the opioid receptor.
Deborah Clark Morgan with the Hamilton County Coalition says they began keeping tabs on Kratom after the rise of 7-OH products.
But they advertise Kratom as a herbal mood enhancer.
Morgan hopes to see some regulation, whether it's stricter sale or an outright ban.
We're bringing up the conversations, and hopefully that will help people look and understand and dig and try to figure things out before they put things in their bodies.
The bill is set to go before the Senate Judiciary Committee on Monday and the House Judiciary Committee March 11th.
Well, there you go for Tennessee. And I don't know if y'all saw Extreme when we put this back up. Extreme says, so Davenport dies from mixing with his prescriptions irresponsibly. Now paying people must suffer and be felons. That's just like the one in New Jersey. You know, the one that was on NBC Nightly News opposite of me. CJ's, yes. Same thing. And they even listed it and showed all those, you know, he had pharmaceuticals. The talk screen has been online. I've seen it publicly out there. So this is
Davenport had a multitude of medications, but the biggest thing was all the Benadryl he had in his system.
And you know what? I'm so glad you brought that up because let me bring Becca. Becca's here. Hey, Becca. Good to see you. Always great having you.
I miss Becca.
Look at you dressed for like St. Patrick's Day still with all the green. I love it. I love it. Thank you. I'm so glad you brought the Benadryl. Now, everybody's body is different, right? Somebody could take Benadryl for the first time and it kills them. because it's just their body genetic makeup, right? We all can react. We could take a prescribed medication our doctor just gave us and it can kill us. We don't know. Everybody's different. Now, this whole thing of blaming Kratom with Benadryl, Zyrtec, all that. You know how many people
And
have
there
had an
can be
antihistamine and
instances-
Kratom?
There can be instances that people do
100%.
can pass
That's what I'm
away
saying.
from anything. So,
Everybody's different.
I mean, we can't say that Kratom couldn't absolutely cause something adverse in someone out there. Maybe likely, it's not likely. We know
It's not likely.
because it's safe. But I mean, it could happen. We can't say that it's.
Well, here's what's interesting.
But that was a lot of medication and mixes.
Yeah.
To have.
But blaming, you know, an antihistamine, like this is like, you cannot, like, oh, all of a sudden they've decided they've done a research study that shows that you cannot combine those. I personally have combined them without issue. So it doesn't affect me at all. It certainly didn't kill me. I'm still here. And I had to take massive amounts of antihistamines. A little over a year ago, I had to get a test and I had a severe allergic reaction and I had to be on very high doses of Benadryl, Zyrtec, and Allegra, and this rotation of them. And I was like, I know I've had some of these before, but not at these high doses. And I wonder if this is going to interact with my Kratom. Well, I'm a responsible adult. Reminder, I'm not young. I'm 61 years old. I know I don't look it. Thank you. Good genes from my parents. And so I'm making a grown-up decision. Do I want to suffer in pain or, you know, space out my Kratom, my natural Kratom powder?
That's just it right there.
Exactly.
An adult making responsible decisions.
If it had killed me, that's on me. And it
That's
doesn't
on you,
prove
right,
that Kratom and Benadryl kills everybody. I had to take high amounts and I did my research and I talked to people who had taken antihistamines, had taken specifically Benadryl and these other over-the-counter, not prescription antihistamines. Plus, I was going by anecdotal evidence, right? And on my TikTok, we get lots of people asking questions about Kratom and this, Kratom and that. And what I do is I facilitate the conversation so people can go in the comments and share their personal experience. I'll say, if you have personal experience with this, please share this. Other advocates do stuff like that. I've seen that. And it is so valuable as a resource tool when you are being the grown adult and doing your research, doing your own damn research, right? So I was like, wait a minute. I remember we had one of those TikToks on my account where somebody was asking about, you know, Kratom and Benadryl. And Kratom and antibiotics. I had to take steroids. I had to take high doses of steroids too. And so I went and found those TikToks that I had facilitated. And it was comment after comment after comment of people saying, for me personally, I had no issues. I spaced it out. I didn't take them all together. I spaced it out. And I'm reading them all and I'm going, okay, I'm going to make my own grown-up decision because that's what grown-ups do. But there's no research evidence that shows that combining those two will kill you, but combining or taking anything can kill you. Because we're all human and we're all different. So
if you're taking Benadryl and drink too much water,
yeah,
you can die. If you're taking multivitamins and drink too much coffee, you can die. It doesn't mean that one caused the other or one caused the death. It's our bodies, and what we're putting into them needs to be a responsible choice with education.
Yeah.
As to what the possible side effects and risks are.
Well, Angela says she's on
so low risk.
Angela's on 12 prescriptions and never had a problem. I mean, a lot of us are still taking other prescriptions. I only take 3 now, but they're not pain medications anymore. But I mean, I don't have any issues. And she also takes antihistamines almost every day. So, you know, that's, we're all adults making our own decisions here. But just because one person died and they're pointing the finger at it was Kratom and the antihistamine, had to have been because that's all he had. How many millions
Now
of
they want
people
to take,
have done that? How many millions of
and they
people
want
have
to take,
them?
they want to take away the one thing that is working for 24 million consumers across the United States. Stop it. Just stop. I'm sorry for the loss of your child. That's a loss very few can imagine, and no one should ever have to suffer. But the loss of your child does not give you the right to take away from my child what is keeping them alive, or take away from me what is keeping me alive.
Mm-hmm.
Regulation, education are the answer, not prohibition. Stop it.
Yeah. Venus, it seems like every time you touch your phone, it does that. I'm not sure why. It's okay. It's okay. So Snafu says that they finally got me on Oxy to try to wean off 7-OH. This is one hell of a journey. So what kind were you taking, and like which one were you taking, and how much? Curious how much to have to go from that to Oxy? Is it oxycodone, oxycontin, oxy what? Just curious. We're judgment free here, but when people talk about having such a hard time, is usually they're taking large amounts, 35 milligrams. Okay. Of just a 7-OH. And what kind of oxy are you taking? And that's interesting. What do y'all think of that? What are y'all thoughts?
I just think because Oxy short lasting, a short half-life where it didn't last hardly at all, I would think more of a longer acting one to get you off a certain medication would be better. But it doesn't make sense to me. But if it helps them, then
100%.
Great.
Do what helps.
Correct.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, look, at the end of the day, we're not here supporting the 7-OH industry as much as one person likes to keep shouting that out about us, and we passively support it. We don't demonize people who use it. We're a judgment-free zone, and I think that's why we get people who use 7-OH for whatever reason that feel comfortable coming here and being vulnerable and talking about it. Most people don't allow them to be vulnerable. Or if they are vulnerable and talk about it, then they're shamed. And we don't do that here. We're not going to do that with anyone because that's not right. That's not a human thing to do. Now, do we support the industry? I don't. I think the 7-OH industry needs to clean itself up. There's too many issues with it. The drug names. I don't know how many times I have to say this every week here. I don't support the industry. I don't get funding. I don't know what. Show me where those receipts are. I'd like to see, because
yes, please, me too.
I'm not aware that I don't even talk to those. I don't even talk to those groups. And it's so funny how they love to make up stuff, because I don't demonize people. I don't demonize people for whatever reason they're using 7-OH. I don't personally use it. I think the industry needs to clean up its act. I don't think they should be in gas station or easily accessible. I think, before, unless I'll remind each other, before it was 7-OH, what were we talking about? Same conversation. Extracts. Go look at all
and
of our
before
old
that, it was Kratom.
Old Kratom Gals. It was extracts. Some of those super advocates used to come on here and yell and scream about extracts in the gas stations.
And before that, it was talking about Kratom itself.
Yeah.
So I think the person just said, unless it was a typo, oxytocin.
No, I think it's Oxycontin they were trying to type.
Yeah, because it
fast release.
So I'm not sure which one.
I thought Now, when I took Oxycontin in pain management, it was long acting. I didn't know that. Do they have a fast acting one? Or oxycodone has
oxycodone. You know what?
The 10 grams.
Yeah.
Oxycontin long acting, and the oxycodone is the short acting.
And yeah, TikTok channels, there have been a lot of people talking about Suboxone to get off of 7-OH. I've seen that, but not so much with going to, the pain meds. Like they said they had 4 surgeries in the last 2 months. So sorry to hear that. I'm sure that's been hard on you. I can't even imagine. My illnesses are getting worse. 7-OH helped, but it was, yeah. And I mean, that's the thing. I mean, some people with pain issues are using it carefully in very small amounts, or
And the
using
thing
it.
is a lot of people have issues coming off of regular traditional
Yes,
opioid therapy.
absolutely.
It's just a part of the process of having the relief. You're going, the majority of people will have some withdrawals, and it's always going to depend on how much of it you took and how often for that to happen. And I've been blessed that doesn't, I've never experienced that. Well, except for the one time with the morphine, but that's because I got the flu and couldn't hold it down, and I did go into have morphine withdrawal. And but other than that, I didn't have any. I've not experienced any problems, but a lot of people do. So we can't really demonize something because it causes a withdrawal, whether that be some people with kratom or 7 or anything else, because withdrawal comes from a lot of it. Withdrawal comes from Cymbalta. It can come from gabapentin. It can comes with sugar. You get the keto flu that they call it now. I mean, withdrawal is just a part of what happens when you consume something regularly. Turn it into this big thing like, oh my God, withdrawal. Withdrawal is a natural occurrence in life that is going to come with a lot of things that we consume. Soda, caffeine,
Absolutely.
our coffee.
Well, I tell you what, I was so grateful when I went from the opiates to kratom. It's going to be 7 years on March 30th, a week from Monday. I'm so excited. I can't believe I've used natural leaf kratom every day, multiple times a day since I started on. I have my journal right here with all my notes. It's wild. Like looking back on that journey, I was still taking care of my mom. I moved back home to take care of her in her later years, and that's why it was a few years before I started being more publicly out here advocating. I had to wait for that chapter of my life to be over, but it was a godsend for me because losing access to pain management is not fun. And you know what, as much as I was worried about being in massive pain, I was forced tapered in a very short period of time and freaking out and like, how do I find a drug dealer? Like, Madeline, go find a drug dealer. That would have been fun. It's like my bigger concern was, what if I go through the opiate withdrawals? I've been taking pain meds every day for 9 years for my chronic pain. I've been taking when this all happened, I was at really high doses of OxyContin, long acting twice a day, but I had a lot of breakthrough pain because my body processes narcotics very quickly. I've had the pharmacokinetic tests that prove it. And while most people are prescribed it for 12 hours, it does not last 12 hours on me. So I was able, the doctor was kind enough to prescribe plenty of Percocets for the in-between. And that's how I would get through my day every day so I could still work. I never stopped working. I never got on disability. I wanted to still continue to have quality of life, but I was worried about going with withdrawals, especially while taking care of my mom. I'd only had been moved back to my childhood home, taking care of her. When this happened, I'd only been there a few months. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to prepare myself to go through like major withdrawals, getting off of these 9 years of narcotics. And I remember telling my mom, this is my mom I had to take care of because she needed a lot of help. And I remember saying, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm worried that I could have a lot of issues and wind up in the hospital over, withdrawing off of this all these years. She's like, bless her heart, I'll take care of you. And this is a woman with a traumatic brain injury from an accident, had lost her eyesight over this accident, like major, but still was like the most amazing person and said that. And I'm thinking I'm gonna have to go to a hospital. Like, I need somebody to take care of me if I go through this. Thank God for Kratom. Because of Kratom, I did not go through withdrawals. I got off all those meds. I was close to 200 MME a day. I was on very high doses. I was able to completely wean down, transition in a very short period of time. No withdrawals. The most was some hot flashes, and it wasn't that bad. And I got my pain relief and then over time, better pain relief. And I'm like, wait a minute. Why does this work better than the narcotics? How did I not know about this stuff? How did I not know about this plant? So,
and the fact that you didn't have to continually increase your dose.
I've never
which
had to
proves
increase my
other
dose.
statements lie.
I've been taking the same dose for over 6 years, the same exact
Most of
amount.
us have.
I've never had a tolerance. Let me tell you what, when I was in pain management, I had serious tolerance issues with the narcotics. I had to keep changing them. We had this, it was like a merry-go-round. It's like when one of them stopped working, then the doctor had to switch me to another one. And it happened, multiple times a year where I've just having to keep switch them up because some of them get to the point where they just don't work on you anymore. And I didn't have that. I've never had that happen with Kratom ever. And I feel very grateful. But what if all of a sudden it stops working? I've heard plenty of people in the pain community say, you know what, Kratom powder is not working for me as much anymore. And I think that's why we've seen some people in the pain community go try 7-OH and use it to complement their powder or use it instead because they're not getting the results anymore. Now, am I going to be demonized because if that day comes for me and I go try 7-OH to see if it helps? Am I this bad person now? Because I just don't want to suffer in pain and I don't want to go in disability. I want to be a productive member of society and be able to get out of bed. Just because I look fine, not if the pain is taking over, but Kratom keeps that away. I've never been all the 20 years I've been living with this chronic pain, I've never been happier, never had more energy. I feel amazing. It's a plant. And I hope it keeps working.
Jesus.
Well, and on the days that it doesn't work as well for me, I start looking at, do I need to do, titrate down a little bit and change up again? Because for me, that's usually when Kratom doesn't work as well as if I've been taking the same strain, the same vein for a long period of time. And my body says, okay, you need to do something different. And that's an easy enough fix.
Yeah. Kathleen's making a great comment. Back in the day when I was prescribed hydrocodone, the warning of possible side effects had to do with the acetaminophen that was added. 100%.
Right.
That was always the bigger deal, is the amount of
And
acetaminophen.
Because they even ended up lowering the amount of it because of the organs. It used to be 500 in it with the hydrocodone. They lowered it to 325, I believe. In each one has 325 instead of the 500 that it came in. Because I know when I took Lortab, it was the 10s and it was 500 of acetaminophen. But, you're only supposed to take, I think you're allowed 4,000 a day. I try to stay within 2 only because I'm not supposed to take it because of my organ issues. But I believe it's 4,000 that you can supposedly take safely. But I think 4,000 every day, it could cause somebody to get into trouble. But anyway, they lowered the amount in the pain medication. Yeah.
Yeah. Snafu says, even though they're getting off the 7-0, they said, I'll probably always have it in case of emergency. I know it makes me think maybe I should have some for emergency if anything ever happens, because if it goes away and I'm not able to, and the whole reason why I went on my Kratom journey is because I lost access to pain management and I'm in a big city and nobody would take over. When you are a high processor of opiates, nobody wants to prescribe them to you. Because they look at that and go, I had one doctor tell me to my face after I lost access. I was desperately trying to find a new doctor to take over. One of them said to my face, I had one person, and they said, the guy goes, I only prescribe 1/30 of what you take. Some crazy weird number. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's so bizarre just to make and then then he walked off and I'm like, okay, whatever. At the end of the day, I don't want to suffer in pain. And if there's something out there that'll help me, I think
That's me.
To me personally, and this is my grown-up decision, again, as a 61-year-old, I would much rather try, after everything I've learned about 7-OH, even though I'm not a fan of the industry, and the things they do. I don't like their marketing tactics. And I don't like these drug names for some of these brands. But at the end of the day, I don't want to be suffering in pain, and I shouldn't have to. None of us should have to. That
Exactly right.
live with day-to-day pain. And for people that don't understand that and have no sympathy for us, they don't understand the shoes we're in. Come live in our shoes for a moment,
And I'm
then
not.
you'll
I
see.
never like to compare pain because it's just not a right thing to do. But I can certainly say this: if my pain if it wasn't significant for me, I would have never supplemented with 7. I am able to hold these babies, help around the house as much as I can put in, and that's because of the combination of Kratom and 7. But I'm also not taking any pharmaceuticals or anything else, and then I take my other vitamins and supplements. But I should be able to do that, and if I'm considered a guinea pig, that's fine because I've done actual clinical trials before anyway, and I was a guinea pig for that. So if anybody wants to demonize me or whatever, then you do you, boo, and I'll do me. So that's
Everybody
just
needs
it.
to do themselves, really.
That's it. And be
do you
responsible,
and leave
accountable,
everybody
take
alone.
everybody, because it's just out of line now, and they're not even addressing all these other ones that are already on the market and are gonna be and are stronger. I don't have a problem with the short half-life of the 7, taking it in the nibbles. It covers me my whole day anyway. Even if I took it every 3-4 hours, that still it covers my day. I go to bed early, I get up early. Well, 8:30 is my time to get up. I'm not, lacking sleep because of it, or not being able to get up because of it, or and I get to be with these babies. I get to participate in their lives, and if somebody wants to take that from me, because that's fine.
They have no right to. They don't have the
no.
right to.
Well, and all these people saying, "Oh, well, just go back to your doctor and get pain meds." Yeah, good luck with that.
Exactly.
It's not.
Good luck.
They'll put you on subs or Bute.
Right, correct.
But they're not going to put you on anything that actually works and doesn't have horrendous side effects.
No.
As a matter of fact, when the EMTs were here, if it gets too loud, let me know. But when the EMTs were here during the fire, they're like, if you have any prescriptions, just call your doctor, and they'll call them in. I laughed at her. I was like, is that what you think that they do? Because they don't. I said, luckily, my prescription, I don't have a prescription. I drink a tea and I get it from New Jersey. And she goes, well, can you get that? And I said, yeah. I said, he would even drive it to me if I needed it. I said, but no, I said, the doctors don't call in medicines like that just because you had a fire or anything, earthquake, whatever happened.
Too bad.
Yeah.
So she said, anything, let me know. And I said, if you hear about Kratom and you need to know any information, you know my name, let me know. So hopefully she will. But yeah.
Yeah. Extreme has a really great question. I would love for everybody to answer.
I was hoping you.
Would you?
Hold
on, let me read it, because I know a lot of people just listen while we're doing this. Would you condemn or judge someone using MGM-15 for pain? We'll go around the room. I'll start first. At the end of the day, for me, I'm not going to judge anyone, just like we were talking about earlier. I judge the companies that have bad business practices and that do things incorrectly. 7-OH, there should have been more research before they just threw it out there onto the market. But the state legislators or the state regulators should have also been involved. Like what? I can go, so let me get this straight, 7-O industry. I can go create a 7-OH product, call it dopium, get it on the shelves, and nobody's going to do anything. And it's still out there. Really?
Yeah.
Who's at fault here? The industry is at fault. Those groups should be doing something that are in the 7-O industry, because that is a bad look. And the state regulators or whoever oversees this should be doing something too. How's this stuff out there for years and nothing's being done? So, but to demonize a person making a grown-up choice, to me, is wrong. MGM-15, I'm hearing about it, but I'm not going to judge anyone, but I don't know enough if I would even consider trying that if needed. But let's go around the room. Venus, what's your thought on that?
I feel the same about the manufacturers, and I don't demonize the person that's using something that works. As long as if you realize that you have a problem, if it comes up in the beginning, like you feel that issue, and then go back and fix it. You know what I mean? Just stop and switch back to what you were using before. But I don't have a problem, and there's no judgment at all from me.
Robin, what's your thought?
Whatever works for a person works for that person. I'm not going to judge anybody. Is it something I would try? Probably not. And I have to echo exactly what you guys said about the manufacturers and the issues. That's my personal take. BAE, we choose not to speak on any of those because they're not the natural plant. So, but what any person does to get through this life, as long as you're not hurting somebody else,
Amen.
It doesn't impact me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Love that. Great. Twinkle, what's your thought?
And no, I wouldn't demonize them, judge them at all. But I'm a chronic pain advocate. First and foremost, people in chronic pain need relief. And we know what happened. All the abandoned pain patients, all the barriers to accessing care. You're not going to a doctor and getting pain medicine no more. That's very few and far between. So no, I would not. And I would just want them to take care of themselves, make sure that if they thought they were getting out of line in the beginning, to tug themselves back and return to just tea, or whatever they'd have to do to pull themselves back if they needed an extract or something to titrate down. But again, we're all different. But I would not.
Well, and you know what? You
not
made
shame them.
You made an interesting point, though, like tugging themselves back if they know this is not good. And, I've had so many people that have had issues with 7-OH, with addiction issues with it in my DMs on my social media. And so many of them, and these were not chronic pain people either. Okay. These are the people that went to the smoke shop, liked using Kratom for whatever reason, not the pain ones reason, and was just told it was stronger Kratom, or they got a free many times it was the free sample. And so many times in their DMs, they'd say to me, I knew I should have stopped, because they got that feeling. They liked it just like a drug. And they kept going and going and taking more and more and more. So they knew what they were doing. So now I know for some people you can't control that. I get it. I don't understand it very much because I've never lived that. But look, everybody, again, do you. But if you're aware of that, I think it is important to try to pull back before it becomes a big issue. But for me personally, it's been typically the non-chronic pain people that have told me that story. Not too many pain people have told me negative things about it, unless they were escalating, but it was to control pain. And I think for a lot of us, a lot of us have done that with our pain meds. You're having a bad pain day and you take a little extra.
I would add, don't be afraid to ask for help, no matter what you're taking. If you're taking Kratom and you think you're taking too much, reach out, talk to other people. If you're taking 7-OH and think you're taking too much, reach out, talk to somebody. If you're taking subs and you think you're using it too much,
that's right.
Don't be afraid to ask for help, no matter what it is, because somebody out there has gone through what you're going through and can help. You just have to be willing to stand up and say, hey, I need to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
We have to quit shaming people over what choices they make. We can't, on one hand, say, I'm all for responsible Kratom consumption if it helps you, and then turn around and slam them for doing something else that helps them. It's like we can't slam the pain community that is still able to get pain medication. Great, more power to them. If that's what works for them, I'm happy for them. Continue that path. If natural leaf Kratom works for you, again, great, more power to you. Whatever we choose, we need to be left alone in that choice as responsible adults. Now, if we're getting out of line, different story.
Right, for sure. Becca, what's your take on it?
Well, I agree with all of you guys. Absolutely no judgment, whatever works for you. I've certainly been there, and it sucks not having an alternative, or feeling like you're stuck with only a few options. And I've been so grateful to find herbs and teas, and I would hate to have that taken away from me. And so, yeah, I sympathize, and I have no judgment for anybody who seeks anything else. We're all adults, and it's everybody's choice.
Well said.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a great conversation today. They always are. Always are.
Mhm.
I got one more news video. And although, gosh, we've already been chatting for almost an hour and a half here, because I do want to play. Well, I think we'll have time for. Let me play this next one because it's Missouri. This is an interesting one, and then we're going to move on to that Michigan Speaker Matt Hall and his presser he did the other day. Because oh man, people need in our
You're
community.
determined to have us all throwing things today, aren't you, Madeline?
Yes, I am. I am, because people need
We
to
have to be.
know. They need to know about this, and and I feel like we're going to stop and talk about a lot because some of it is just infuriating. Let me go ahead and play this one real quick. This is Blue Springs, Missouri.
Blue Springs is the latest community to ban a substance local leaders have called gas station heroin. For months, we have brought you the stories about synthetic 7-OH, hearing the voices of those who have seen its impact. Medical experts say 7-OH is 14 times stronger than morphine and highly addictive.
The way that it grabs you is so much faster than anything I've ever done before.
Tonight, KSHB 41 News reporter Isabella Ladon brings us up to speed on what Blue Springs is doing and more in this latest installment of her series, Strong High Weak Laws.
Blue Springs, Missouri's ban on 7-OH is almost identical to what was passed in Kansas City, Missouri last month. It's illegal to sell synthetic 7-OH, which are typically the products that you see in gas stations, but it doesn't make natural kratom illegal. It instead regulates it as a 21 and up product. As state legislators push bills forward on kratom and 7-OH, local cities like Blue Springs are passing their own rules.
I'm just happy they distinguish the difference between 7-hydroxy and regular kratom, and they're protecting traditional kratom products.
Todd Underwood owns a kratom facility in Blue Springs and welcomes regulation on products that don't have any federal or state restrictions.
I think regulation on products like this raises the barrier of entry, it matures the market, it safeguards consumer safety.
The Missouri and Kansas Senate have passed bills that ban synthetic 7-OH and regulate natural kratom. Now, the proposed legislation in Kansas is on its way to the House.
We think there is a need for a broader regulation from the state level. It's difficult when we do piecemeal for city by city.
The Missouri Attorney General is investigating several businesses for deceptively marketing 7-OH as a safe product, including KC Company American Shaman.
Things are heating up, shall we say.
Attorney General Catherine Hanaway told me her office is preparing to file civil suits and even criminal charges against some companies selling 7-OH.
Kratom in its natural form, we still have a lot of questions about. We don't have any questions about 7-OH. It's intoxicating, it's addictive, it's killing people.
According to records I obtained, the active ingredient in 7-OH and kratom was a factor in at least 9 metro deaths in the last 2 years. The ban in Blue Springs goes into effect immediately, and council is still working through what consequences look like for violations. In Blue Springs, Isabella Ladon, KSHB 41 News.
To see Isabella's extensive coverage on 7-OH and kratom, scan the QR code on your screen.
Okay, there you go for that one.
I'd still like to know what the lethal dosage is. If they're saying it's killing people, they have to know what the lethal dose is.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that seems to be unknown, right?
The challenge with that is the lethal dosage that like the coroners associations have is so low, it's so unrealistic. And I think there needs to be a lot of work in that regards as well, because tell you what, some of these guys are saying a lethal dose is half of what I take a day. It's not lethal. So
yeah,
there again needs to be more science and more education.
Definitely.
And quit letting legislators lie.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Angie, right? Wayward Lady, right? I'm trying to keep up everybody's usernames. One of the
Yeah.
things I always say, I want to carry in cups of tea into a hearing and ask them all to drink it with me. Imagine the surprise when it's nothing like they think it is. Wouldn't that be amazing? It's like, here, have a cup of tea. You'll feel better and you'll see it's not going to be harmful.
Maybe you won't be quite so angry.
Exactly. Tori's asking, does anyone know what legislation Kansas is trying to pass? Do you know, Robin?
They've been trying to pass a ban bill, but now they're looking to change it over to a kind of a modified KCPA.
That's good.
If I remember correctly. I'd have to go look at the website to be sure because there's so many.
There's so many of them. There's so many. Sherry's here. Hey, Sherry. We just did a Missouri news piece. I don't know if you saw it. We were just doing, because that's where I think that's where Sherry's at, right? It's Missouri.
I thought she was Mississippi.
Oh, Mississippi. I'm sorry. I knew it was one of the M's. Sorry. I knew it was one of those M's. Okay.
She's done amazing work in Mississippi. Absolutely amazing.
Yes.
Can I clone you, please, Sherry?
Yeah, we need more Sherrys in the Kratom community. Yeah, there she said, Mississippi. I knew it was one of the M's. Yeah, forgive me. You know, I talked to so many people and I'm running a lot of controls here to do this live stream. But I knew. Debbie says she's in St. Louis, Missouri. Cool.
There you go. Yeah, the person asking the question on Kansas, if you look at our website, it will have that answer for you so that I'm not telling you incorrect information.
Yeah, and let me put that link on here. Go to, this is a great resource for everybody. Go to botanicalae.org. That's Robin's organization. It's called Botanical Advocacy and Education, and they have the breakdown with all the different states. So you could go look up to see what the latest is. Very helpful information. So highly recommend checking that out.
And I will be the first to acknowledge we need to do updates. We're just trying to play catch up because there's so many coming at all times.
Yeah, it's hard to be caught up when it's never caught up. It's always more and more coming.
Exactly. And poor Angela, because she's the one that does the actual input and changes on the website. I know she about types her fingers to the bone.
Yeah. Extremes is asking, does anyone know if next week's Idaho hearing will allow remote testimony? It sounds like a parrot repeating, but I always miss it. Does anybody know if that one can have remote?
Last I heard, they were not doing remote testimony, but hopefully there's enough people that want to testify that they will change that.
Yeah. Sherry, we have a website. You missed it earlier.
Yes.
We have a website for you. And I'm going to put because I'm sure some people are here now that weren't here earlier. Jot this down, bookmark it, do whatever. KratomIndex.com is a brand new website that just came out yesterday, put out by Dan and Sarah Pita from Mitrospec. This is an independent, type of site of all the published Kratom studies and reports and everything. This is a great comprehensive research tool. You can send legislators there. You can go pull up specific research studies, peer-reviewed, everything. And the beauty is you can also get AI to explain it to you so you can understand what these things are. So excellent resource. Everybody jot this down, KratomIndex.com. Amazing resource for us advocates. I'm so glad. Hey, Deborah, good to see you. Always great to see you. I know Tennessee, lots going on in Tennessee. And I know you've been able to go a few times, and I know they got more coming up next week.
Yeah, they just need to make up their minds and put it on the calendar.
Yeah. Snafu says they were trying to weed off the 7.0 using kratom powder. The best success I've heard from people is going from 7.0 to extracts, kratom extracts, then down to the powder. And a good resource for that is Jordan at New Hope Botanicals. He's been helping lots of people do that.
And Chris too.
Yeah, and Christopher from Christopher Organic Botanicals. So, there's some people that can help but you're already going the pharmaceutical route, so you're probably okay now. But if you wanted to do that, I would talk to him. Yeah, extreme, just just what I just said. Try extracts. There is a delay between when y'all comment. We're already actually a little bit ahead of y'all. There's always a delay between what y'all see and what we all see. On us here on screen, we're truly live. The rest of the world, and this is for all live streams everywhere, there's always going to be a delay anywhere from, it could be 10 seconds to even up to 30 seconds. It varies, but sometimes I know the comments are like, a little off because of that. But yeah, New Hope and Christopher's, two excellent companies that I use as part of my daily rotation, and for them and all the other ones that I support and that are big with education and advocacy in our community, I have them listed over on my website. I got the link on the screen here. Go check that out, because it'd be nice if all Kratom companies were like this, but not all of them are. But a lot of good ones out there are all about education and advocacy, and that's what we're all here about as well. Very important to all of us. Thank you, Snafu. We're here to help. Snafu says you ladies are lifesavers by being good support group. That's what we do here. We like to just be supportive of everyone, no matter where they are on their journey, no matter what they're consuming. We're just here to help others. Okay, so let's get into this Michigan, your home state, Becca, right? Have you watched this presser from a few days ago?
I haven't seen a whole lot of what's going
You're
on.
not
but
gonna
I do
like
know
it.
It's
You're
not
not
good over there.
I'm sorry. I'm
Find
sorry.
soft things to throw. Lots of soft things to throw. You'll need them.
Yeah, but is this that important for us to watch? Because these are lawmakers making decisions for a whole state, and
Elected lawmakers.
And they did not allow people to come testify, and they pushed it through. And this was just a few days ago. So this is the press conference the Speaker Matt Hall conducted, and it's available on their YouTube. So I'm going to play. I think what we need, I mean, honestly, when I watched it, I feel like this is one of those where you're going to want to stop every few minutes and like, oh my God, I can't believe they just said that. And we're going to, but we've already been here for quite a while, and we're going to want to wrap up eventually. So plus actually, I need to kind of watch the time anyway, because I got somewhere I got to be. Let me just play this in its entirety. So for us on screen, just put in the chat your thoughts, and then we'll have a discussion at the end. But I'm going to play this first segment, the bulk of it. It is about 14 minutes long. So by the time we're done, we'll be at the top of the hour. And then there's another segment that's about 7 minutes. But I really feel like we should watch all of this, because it's that good. And people just need to be aware what happened in Michigan this week. And this is how a lot of legislators are feeling, and it's scary. So brace yourself. Let's watch.
I just wanted to talk about today's legislative calendar. It was very disappointing to see every Democrat vote against our bill to ban Kratom. You guys probably know that 8 other states have banned Kratom completely, including Alabama, Arkansas, Indiana, Wisconsin, which we share borders with, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Connecticut. They've banned it completely. We know that Kratom is a very deadly drug that can be found in all over the place. It can be found in the drugstores. It can be found all over. It's very addictive, and it's killing a lot of people all over the country and here in Michigan. And so it's important that we ban the Kratom, get it out of these liquor stores and drugstores, and ensure that that our people are safe, our kids, but also, many people. This is very similar to heroin and a lot of other opioids, and so just being able to get this on the counter over at the liquor store is a very bad thing, and that's why we want to ban it, because we want to protect not just kids, but all kinds of people. I mean, we've heard stories of people who maybe they were struggling with an opioid addiction and they started using Kratom because they thought it was natural, and then they got hooked on it and died. And you can hear story after story about that. It's a very sad thing. I'm proud that the Republican caucus came together, stood up to the lobbyists, and pushed that through over the line today into the Senate. So we're one step closer to banning Kratom, getting this poison out of our state, and protecting many lives. And so I wanted to, I have up here with me Patty Wheeler, who her son died from Kratom, unfortunately, very tragic. And she started a foundation called A Beautiful Life Stolen. So we're going to have her talk for a couple minutes. But first, I wanted our bill sponsor, who's been working very hard on this, Cam Cavett, just to talk about it for a few minutes. Go ahead, Cam.
Thank you, Speaker. Wow. You know, we got it across the finish line today. It's really disappointing that we didn't get a single Democratic vote today to help us with that. But, you know, I started out on this when a constituent reached out who lost her son, Dakota, to Kratom. She's a Sioux tribal member, and she started telling me about how this was done. So we looked into it and realized the large focus of this market is geared towards children. They market this towards children. It comes in candy. They make it in cotton candy flavors. They make soft powders to put into drinks. And what's funny is a lot of this comes from Southeast Asia and particularly China. And it's illegal in China. They don't let their citizens use it, but they import it over here. So I just don't feel that's proper. I think there's ulterior motives there. That's certainly, but
I have to stop real quick. It does not come from China.
The lies.
Where is he getting that info? It does not come from China. So they're trying to scare people. Ooh, it's coming from China.
Just the straight up lies that they have been saying from the gate.
That's just wrong.
Well, you can't believe nothing. People don't believe everything you hear.
That's why this one's hard to watch without stopping. But I just had to stop real quick because this does not come from China.
I have watched this before, and I still get so angry and frustrated with. I'll leave it at that because I can't say what I'm thinking.
I just wanted to point out this does not come from China. It comes from Southeast Asia. Look on the map. Southeast Asia is not the same thing. All right, I'm going to put it back.
our children are dying. The numbers aren't necessarily accurate right now, but as more coroners are finding this happening, they're screening autopsies, and the more autopsies that they do, they're finding out that kratom was the cause of death. So I'm proud to be able to sponsor this bill today, and thank you all for being here. I'm going to let the speaker talk. Thank you.
Great. Yeah. And so now we'll bring Patty up here. I know this was a very emotional day for Patty. She's gone all over the country and advocated in other states about the dangers of kratom. And it just happened she was here today while we were moving this bill. And so I wanted her to have the opportunity to give her thoughts on the bill today and the problem overall of kratom. So welcome, Patty. Great to have you here. Yep.
Thank you, Speaker Hall. Wow. This is a very emotional day for me. I never imagined myself to be an advocate. In 2022, October, I lost my twin son, Wyatt, to kratom. And he was with his twin brother when it happened. And my journey took me to produce a documentary, a film about kratom. And it is not a film to evoke outrage. It was a film to request attention. We needed transparency. We needed awareness, and we needed proper labeling. Michigan today did an unbelievable thing. I have been honored to be with Utah, Virginia, Connecticut, now in Michigan, supporting such a law, a ban. This needed to happen. everyone needed to take a pause. Real lives are being lost because of Kratom. And no matter what is said about mixing Kratom, if you take a Zyrtec and then you use Kratom, you should not lose your life because of that. People deserve to know what they're putting in their body, and they need to know before it goes to market. We have a right for that information. We need not put lab coats on our gas station attendants and our vape store operators. That is not a position for them. So when you're using Kratom for a medical reason, it should not be allowed to be sold in our stores. And I just thank you, and I thank you for writing this bill. And again, I'm in shock. I did not expect to be here, but I am so grateful that I shared this and was able to feel the presence of Wyatt. I know that he is with this vote, and it was very necessary. Thank you.
Yeah, well, of course. Are there any questions for us about the bill? Well, I got Patty up here. All right. Yeah, go ahead, Beth.
So this is, I haven't reviewed the bill very. This is an all-out ban.
Correct. Yes, it's an all-out ban.
Is there any kind of future consideration or regulation of it, or is it just, are they just going?
Well, we're banning Kratom. I think if you're now in the bill, we're banning Kratom. You probably know that the FDA has found no legitimate use for Kratom, no medical benefit for Kratom. The amendment we adopted today by Phil Green would open the door if there is, if the FDA does someday find some kind of benefit to Kratom, then to the extent that there is a medical use for Kratom, then it would be allowed for that purpose. All synthetic Kratom would be banned. All of the regular Kratom would be banned unless there was a medical use that the FDA determined that there was a use. Now, right now, there is none. The FDA does not find any use for Kratom. And in reality, I think it's being used, they kind of market it as natural. But what we're finding, and maybe Patty, you want to add to this, we're finding that it's very addictive, whether it's in the synthetic form or in the regular form, it's very addictive. And maybe you can talk more about that in a second. And that's why we're trying to ban it. And many people, they start taking it because they think it's natural, but they're not taking natural Kratom, they're taking very bad Kratom. And so I know that some of the lobbyists up in Lansing, they try to argue there's good Kratom and there's bad Kratom. That's just a ridiculous argument. That doesn't resonate in our districts. I mean, people all over Michigan are seeing a lot of people, whether they're kids or adults, going in, purchasing Kratom. You can get it right on the counter at the liquor store or the gas station. I mean, I went down to Metro Detroit. Some of you reporters live in Metro Detroit. I go to the gas station in Metro Detroit, and they built big signs. They're like this big, even in Grand Rapids. And they say, Kratom, buy your Kratom here. And you go there, and it's very dangerous stuff, and people take it. There's no medical guidance as they're taking it, and then they get killed, because they're taking stuff that interacts with other drugs improperly. They're taking stuff that is a highly dangerous opioid, and they're dying. This is one of the top things that I hear from our police chiefs across the state, and particularly in Southeast Michigan, that they're struggling with the Kratom. It's getting into the schools. It's causing problems there. It's causing many deaths and illnesses across our state. And as Cam noted, many of the deaths it's creating are not even tracked because they register as other kind of deaths, not Kratom deaths. It's my understanding that some of the traditional tests don't necessarily detect this. So it seems like it's a much bigger problem, but if you talk to police chiefs and law enforcement, this is a growing problem. So I don't know if there's more you want to add, Patty, to that. But for that reason, we're outright banning it, something that I mentioned 8 other states do: Alabama, Arkansas, Indiana, Wisconsin, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Connecticut outright ban it. Our outright ban is a little different in that if the FDA saw a useful purpose for it, it could be, prescribed for that purpose. But that's not the case right now. And we make it a misdemeanor, which you guys will have to, maybe Cam knows the details of that, for the use, for the sale. So we're putting the punishment on the sellers. That would also include people that import into the state, online sales. We would create the punishment there for the sale of that. You can clarify anything I said there. Is there anything you want to clarify on that?
I believe it's up to a year.
Up to a year. Yeah. You want to just talk a little more about the way that what Kratom does and why what we were
natural.
Yeah.
So when you talk about Kratom and the dangers of Kratom, it isn't just that simple. It's also the addictiveness of Kratom. So all Kratom, within about a 2-week period, scientifically, they're showing that it is not if, it is when you are going to become addicted. So is it our place to sell something in a store where we manage addiction? Because what if the people that walk in the store and pick Kratom up for the first time and start using it recreationally, and there's no label, there's no dosing, there's nothing in there to tell them how to use it. And what it doesn't tell you is that your body, no matter what you take and what form you take it in, is going to naturally metabolize itself as 7-hydroxymetragenine. This is a proven alkaloid that is working in your opioid receptor of your brain. So you will become addicted to Kratom. Having said that, again, I go back to, is it our place to put something on a shelf that we know we're knowingly addicting people to that substance? And I think that Michigan moved today to push the pause button and actually leave it to the FDA to make that decision, which is where I feel personally it should be all along. It should be a federal ban or a federal question as to the efficacy of Kratom and what it should be used for. I sympathize, again, with people who may be losing something that they feel is very helpful in their pain management. But again, pain management does not belong in a gas station. And that's my feelings.
Wow.
Well said.
Any other questions?
I'm going to stop here because this is now when they go into the ridiculous discussion about some award. Let me go to I know this is upsetting to watch this. We're on the tail end, so we're going to watch the last part.
You'd be surprised. These different Kratom groups have lobbyists, and the lobbyists, they're registered, but it's an amazing thing. There's some people that make a lot of money off of Kratom, poisoning our kids. And one of the reasons why I think the right way to go is to ban it is because what these different Kratom groups are doing is they're saying that if you ban some of the bad Kratom and then you create a regulatory structure to legitimize Kratom, all right? And where there's a disagreement is I don't think we should legitimize Kratom. There is no FDA-approved benefit to Kratom. You hear these anecdotal things, but you also heard Patty talk about how this is very addictive even when you get it in the leaf form. So as long as there is no actual benefit to Kratom, I don't see why we shouldn't ban it. And that's why we're banning it rather than legitimizing it through a regulatory structure that legitimizes it and then gives people this, this belief that the government endorses it and it's okay to take Kratom and there's benefits. That's why we want to just ban it completely and join these other states. Yeah, Eggert. What'd you say? Anything you guys want to say? I can answer. Yeah, I think the people opposing it are the ones that make the Kratom or the ones that sell the Kratom. And I understand you make a lot of money selling Kratom, but as Patty said, it's addictive whether you, no matter what kind you get, whether it's the synthetic, highly concentrated kind or the other kind. And I'll just point out, you remember we went through this with the bath salts and we went through this with the, what did they call that? The synthetic marijuana?
Spice.
Yeah, you remember that? So the synthetic marijuana, you ban one kind of it, and then as soon as you ban it, they create another kind of it, and they keep creating other kinds of it. And so you've got that issue on the synthetic side. And then again, when we looked at the non-synthetic side, we were trying to figure out, is there any actual legitimate benefit or use for this? And we can't find any. And in fact, it's very addictive. And actually, I know, Patty, you know of cases where the natural leaf kratom kills people. And you've talked to people who've had kids lost through the natural kratom as well. So yeah, so you know what I mean? So again, this is one of those things where you come up here, people pay high-powered lobbyists to make arguments that don't make sense. And I think that the Democrats made a mistake today because, again, the right thing to do is to ban the Kratom, get this off the streets, and if the FDA finds a use for it, then it'll be regulated and legal for that use. But that has not happened. Yeah, go ahead, Cam. I'm gonna have to go to my telephone.
To answer your question, there's a certain smoke shop in this state that has 300 locations, and they stand to make millions off. They make millions off the sale of Kratom, and they're behind a lot of the lobbying efforts.
I do want to add one more thing too, because I think that something that struck me as staggering when I was producing the film. Again, that film is looking for a streamer right now, so I am open to showing it to legislators. In the fall, I was starting a college tour, because just imagine all the 18-year-olds, freshmen that are going to college and they're looking to party. They're not old enough to drink, and they're looking for a supplement. And they're going to walk into a gas station and potentially purchase Kratom, not knowing how addictive it is, or hearing that it is, but thinking that maybe it isn't. But a number that is pretty staggering is that in 2022, at the time of Wyatt's death, there was an estimated 1.8 million users. At the close of 25, when the movie completed, there were 28 million. Do we have the luxury of waiting another 3 years before we actually do something to wake up the conversation? Again, this move today is a very powerful move to create better conversation. If not in Michigan, in other states, or as well as Michigan and other states as well. We need to open up honest conversation that does involve proper labeling, informed consent, and awareness. Those are issues that should be in place before you put a product on the shelf. Again, is there anything else that I can answer? I'm open to this. I was completely unprepared. I had no idea that I was going to be doing this today, and I was really emotional on the floor. I just wanted to say over and over again that this was not a political issue. It is not. It is a bipartisan issue. This topic should have been open to every Democrat that was voting, every Republican that was voting. my heart just stopped when I saw every Democrat vote no. I did not understand that. I really did not, because it is not a political issue.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything?
Protecting our kids shouldn't be a partisan issue. And I think that's everything for today. So thank you, everyone, for covering this issue. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. I am sorry to make y'all watch that, but it's too important not to be aware
Agreed.
that that's what they did in Michigan in one fell swoop. No public testimony, went right through the House. And then the guy does the presser right after.
That's not what they're elected to do.
Right. And Patty just happened to be there, who is looking for funding for her documentary.
Great.
Interesting. Interesting. Where do they get all their stats from? I'd like to see all these things they said. It's killing all these kids. Okay, where are the stats? Where are you getting that information from? I'd like to know.
I think what got me the most is them saying, well, it's sold in liquor stores, but we shouldn't be selling anything that creates addiction.
You're right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. And what's in there that creates addiction? A lot of alcohol. Of course,
Yep.
we have the tobacco products and the cigarettes, and I'm not knocking anything that anybody does, because I used to partake too in both, but it's still there, and we're still adults, and it should not be around kids or anything like that. But we know that there's an abundance of items, products, foods, drinks on the market that cause dependency or addiction or whatever you want to call it. Your body is dependent on it, and our body may be reliant on our T2 or a 7 for some of us, but that doesn't mean we're doing things to harm ourselves or others. So, and I just tossed a few links in. I know that over the last couple of weeks, people have been asking for reference resource links and so on. So I'll put a couple in from my compilation that I've been working on. But and I'll get more in for you over time and send you and Venus both. Right now it's still in a rough draft, so it's sloppy, but I have a nice collection going on, so I'll be able to do that when people ask.
Cool. And Becca made a great comment in the chat a few minutes ago. KCPA addresses all this. And why is it that guy was for the KCPA and all of a sudden he's changed his tune? Like, what's going on? And they're the ones making it political with the other side. It's them that keeps.
He was the original sponsor of the KCPA.
So what happened?
Yeah, but what?
He definitely went off. He went off on the lobbyists, though. Did you hear that? He sure did not like the lobbyists.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what happened with that, and why does he feel so strongly? We never get to find that stuff out. What was said or done that made him.
Yeah, because that would require him telling the truth about why he switched.
Yeah, but KCPA addresses all this. It's like, that's why I don't understand. Like, it makes no sense to me. If states would adopt a KCPA or enforce their existing one, you wouldn't have the 708 issues. You wouldn't have a lot of the issues that they complain about.
It just sounds like the same excuse over and over and over again. The same exact excuse.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Well, this has been a great discussion today. I'm glad we were able to watch all that and get through it before we wrap up. So,
Always
and you know what?
Great discussion.
And a lot of us, of course, are dependent on Kratom. I am. I was dependent on my opiates for pain management, and I'm.
Well, yeah,
on
that
my
doesn't
Kratom.
make us bad.
Doesn't make us
people because we're
addicted. It's not the same thing.
Nope.
So.
And I think that's where people need to be more cautious in their wording. Dependency is not addiction. It's two totally separate, distinct
She got on her high horse about addiction and what are we treating addiction now with this?
And a lot of people are recovering from addiction with tea. So don't knock them to the side. That matters. That matters a great deal.
Well, yeah, like putting people into addiction because of Kratom. Get it out of the gas stations.
Yes.
put it behind a counter at a smoke shop, although it pretty much is at most of them.
And if you're someone that has ever had issues with addictions, then just, you need to take care of yourself and just stay away from the products that that you shouldn't, that'll take you back to a place you don't want to be. And
exactly,
just be as safe as we can be, because while there will always be people who benefit and people who will not in everything, in all of the medicines out there, whether prescribed or something over the counter. Some people can't even take Tylenol because it affects them some kind of way.
Yeah.
And other people are able to take it. So,
Angela Harris said, I'm dependent on oxygen.
Yeah.
right.
A lot of us are dependent on that.
Right. Very much so.
And Deborah says same thing happened with the main sponsor in Tennessee. She did the KCPA. Now she wants a total ban. It's like something's definitely behind it. The weaponized.
I really believe they want it as a pharmaceutical and all the alkaloids that come with it.
Yeah.
And some of these articles will touch on these that I don't know if these two specifically do that I just put in, but over time.
Well, kratom itself cannot be patented. You can't patent a plant, but you can patent a lot of the alkaloids if you change them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, the MIT, the 7, anything else coming off of it, they could go grab because it's already been in studies for quite some time. In these, one of them I shared was about MGM-16 with giving neuropathic relief in mice. So there are studies. I just had to look for them. So that's what my quest is the last couple of weeks, just compiling that so that I can at least give it for reference to anybody that asks.
But this, what we just watched here, was taking weaponized grief.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And she's making the rounds because of,
Same
she's
thing
been
with the
showing up all
opioids.
over. Yeah.
That's what happened years back. Yep.
Well, I tell you what, I'm not going to leave y'all with a bad taste in your mouth from watching that. I'm going to close out with a very short, fun video. Would y'all like that?
Let's have some fun.
Let's have some fun. It's very short, but it's a fun video that it just came out yesterday from a friend of the show, Harrison Cohen with Blake Papes. This is a lot of fun. So let's watch this.
Oh my God.
Just Blake Papes. I thought that was
I
a
love
fun.
that. So cute.
When I saw that in my feed yesterday, I'm like, oh, I gotta play that. Since I'm gonna make everybody watch the Michigan video, it's like, okay, I gotta play something better at the end to put us back with the smiles and in a good mood. And Harrison is so good at making videos. Him and his wife they're hilarious and they do it on TikTok and YouTube. But I saw that yesterday because how many of us can relate when you're doing the swamp water tea and it's like hacking, gagging, and all that? Oh, it's so funny.
Used to it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've done toss and wash for so long, I literally don't even taste it anymore unless I catch a little bit in the side of my throat.
Well, and my trick with my swamp water tea, first of all, I only heat up the water and use a small amount just so I can drink it like a shot real fast. I use a straw. Drink it with a straw. Like his big swamp water tea, no, I will never put that much water. That's gross. I do a very small amount. So it's not a big drink, but a straw gets it down quick and easy and you don't taste it as much. I wish I had thought of that when I first started because the first few years of swamp water, I'm like, oh, this tastes so bad. I used to make all kinds of funny faces. But
until I got the toss and wash down, I used to mix mine in peanut butter or chocolate and make little bite-sized pieces. And then I realized how many calories I was putting in. It's like, okay, I got to figure out how to toss and wash.
Yeah,
I
Deborah
just do
says.
thick swamp water basically for me, like a little thicker of it. Yeah.
Well, that's what we have for today, y'all. Lots to watch. Good, bad, and ugly. That's what we do here. We watch it all.
Well, that's a perfect ending, and I'm so glad I could be here today.
Me too.
We've missed you.
Wonderful having you.
We've
Yes.
missed you. Yeah, I'm glad you were able to join us. So yeah, I think since we're all pumped up now, we don't want them banning our Kratom, that we should close out with "You Can't Ban My Roots," our rockin', pumped up song that gets us all, leaving in a good mood.
Yep. Good moods matter.
Becca's ready to dance.
Yes, she is. We got to watch her jam out.
Going.
I'm almost tempted, Becca. I meant to ask you last week. I didn't want to just put you on the spot because I didn't think of it till we were already closing out and you were jamming. Is it okay if I just have it so that just you're on screen at the end jamming while I'm playing the video? That'd be cool.
That'd be amazing.
So the spotlight's on you. I'm pretty sure I can do that.
That'd be amazing.
I think. Let me check and see.
Definitely a mood booster. Just makes you happy, like even if you're not. So thank you. You are.
Let me see something real. Let me do a quick. I'm not gonna play. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, I don't.
Hold on. Let me try something real quick and see if this would work. I think it would. Yeah, like that. I think if I do that. Yeah. Let me do. I'll put. Okay. So I got it set. So we're gonna watch. How long do you want to stay on there and jam though? The whole song or part of the song, or what do you want? It's up to you. I don't want you on the spot, but I'd rather.
I'll do like part of the song this time, and we'll
and then
just
take
see
it down.
how it goes.
Okay. Well, you know what? When you're ready to go, you just wave. Wave to everybody, and I'll take you off, and it'll be so you jam for everybody because you're so good at it, and we can all see you're having a great time. I don't want to be on there doing that as long, but I think everybody agrees, right? All of y'all. I know y'all. There's a little bit of a delay, but y'all want to see her, right? Her jamming.
We all do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you all for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, Sherry.
Sherry says, "I'm dancing with you in my kitchen." Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Angela says, "Becca knows I love her dancing."
Yes.
Yeah. They want to see you dance. Okay. Yep. All right. It all sounds good.
It's decided.
Okay. Decision.
Bye,
made.
everyone. And thank you all.
Bye-bye. And thank you
Yeah.
all.
Thank you all so much for being here and showing all this love and support. We appreciate you all so much. And I forgot to put it up on the screen earlier. You know what? I'll just put on the ticker at the end. For anybody that wants to, you know what? I'll put it up real quick. For anybody that wants to support all these efforts, you can go over to kratomstoriespodcast.com/support. Anybody wants to help make either a one-time contribution or a monthly to help all the costs involved of doing all this education and advocacy. You don't have to, but if anybody feels compelled to and want to keep seeing more of this kind of content, every little bit helps. I'll leave it on the screen for just a moment. But yeah, otherwise, we'll be back next Saturday to do this again. Join us over on over on this KratomRealTalk.com.
I'll miss you next Saturday, so I'll see you the following.
Be out next Saturday. I know Amanda will be back next week.
Nice.
So it's always a nice rotation of people here, which we love. So it's always fun, always an interesting conversation. We appreciate everyone's support. So yeah, we'll see you all next week. So we're gonna have Becca jam for us. And here we go. We'll see y'all soon. Take care.
You can't bear roots, nah, 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 nah. You can't ban my truth, nah, 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 nah. Hey, Florida, we see the game. HB 1489, not today. Natural leaf, ancient tree, now they wanna make it a felony. Nah, we ain't playing that corporate tune. Kratom's the voice of 1,000 moons. From the fields to the streets to the healing hands, you can't kill what the earth commands. They assess certification, regulation, tricks. Just another play to make the people sick. They write the rules, we break the chains. Your lobby games won't own our brains. One voice, one fight, we rise tonight. You can't ban my roots. I'm a child of the storm. I was born to be free. I ain't bending no more. You can't break my truth. You can write your lies, but the people rise. No one for 89. Mail orders ban, remote sales cut. Who's that help? Big pharma's gut. They don't want plants, they want pills. They don't want cures, they want bills. But guess what? We ain't that dumb. We'll shout this message till the war is won. Kratom's our anthem, Kratom's our right. HB 4489, we fight tonight. They write the rules, we break the chains. Your lobby games won't own our brains. One voice, one fight, we rise tonight. You can't ban my roots. I'm a child of the storm. I was born to be free. I ain't bending no more. You can't break my truth. You can write your lies, but the people rise. No one's on 89. You can't outlaw the trees. You can't outlaw the breeze. You can't outlaw the dreams. We are Kratom. We are free. You can't bend my roots. I'm a child of the storm. I was born to be free. I ain't bending no more. You can't break my truth. You can write your life.